The Podsters, episode 15, with me, Chris.
And me, Michelle.
And Penny. So if you hear weird noises and scratches, it's our dog that's chilling out in the studio with us today.
Our dog with allergies.
She's been doing pretty good, though, so far this year.
Grass allergies, nonetheless. So she's constantly itchy.
And scratchy.
Yeah.
Well,
hey, it's number 15. It's the Quinceanera. Dead podcast. Number 15.
Number 15. And we've had a busy week and a busy weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle OD'd on shopping and Japanese food.
Yes.
So we're keeping it kind of short and kind of sweet today.
I got a perticure.
And a perticure.
A perticure.
And a purse.
And a purse, yeah. Nothing fancy. I don't spend money on name brand stuff.
Yeah, neither do I. Not really. It doesn't. To me, a brand doesn't necessarily make anything better.
Right.
I like my band logos though on t-shirts.
Yeah.
T-shirts with prints, monsters, and
yeah, but there's not a specific.
I'm not like I need that brand.
No, like Polo, and Polo just does band shirts or something.
Yeah, no,
no, that wouldn't work for me.
No, I guess I'm a simpleton with stuff like that.
Yeah, so as am I. I'm pretty much like, if it looks good and it fits well.
Yep, that's it.
And it's fairly inexpensive, then it's me.
I'm proud to wear my Arizona jeans.
Yeah, I don't even know like the brand that Walmart sells shorts in, but
we like them.
Hey, I like them. It looks good.
If it fits and looks good and it's decent quality, it's good enough for me.
Why not? I'm not a consumer like that. Or is that me just not conforming to society?
Combination, maybe?
Possibly.
I don't know. I mean, when I was a kid, I guess for adults, there was a craze for brands. But kids back then in Sweden wasn't all brand crazy. Like, they had to have this and that. So I never really...
I think it started with my generation. And
yeah, the kids a couple of years younger.
Or maybe a little bit older. But...
No, we didn't really
here in the States, yeah. It probably started in the 70s or whatever, but it was like brand name stuff was in, like Guess and
no, see, stuff like that wasn't really all crazy big in like I said, for kids. Maybe like young adults started doing it, but not like...
what was that? The most recent one was like Abercrombie or...
I don't know. And if I get like clothes, I don't want a big huge logo type on it. Like is it that Abercrombie and Fitch or whatever?
Yeah.
And carry that around. Shit, if I'm doing that, it's to me that's making promotion for a company.
Yeah, promoting.
And I better damn well love the company or get paid or at least get the stuff for free to wear it.
Yeah.
If I'm buying it, it has to be something I totally love.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't love clothes that much.
I don't, like I said, I've never been a follower of name brands.
Nah, me neither.
I don't know. And as I've gotten older, it's all of the, like, Jimmy Choo shoes and Dolce & Gabbana and...
To me, it's like I do like my Converse. I gotta say that. I like Converse. But if somebody would make the same type of shoe and actually with the same type of quality, I couldn't care less if I bought the Walmart Fawn First or something. I don't need the brand to be there. I just like the style of it.
Call me old fashioned. I'm like a fan of quality the quality of an item.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. With Converse, it's like they are better quality than the knockoffs.
Yeah.
But hey, if anybody of you know of some great cheap knockoffs of Converse that actually last as long, let me know, and I'll buy those if they're cheaper. I don't need the brand name. I don't care for it.
I think I remember you got some other brand that would look like Converse, and
they fell apart.
Those things fell apart like in a month or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So those $10 ones, unfortunately, are of lesser quality. But hey, if there's something with great quality and without that brand tag, I'm cool wearing it. I don't care.
These are some cool tips on being a smart consumer.
Yep. Buy what fits and looks good. Don't care about the brand. It'll save you hundreds, if not thousands, over your lifetime.
Right?
So you guys can find us on YouTube and SoundCloud with our podcasts. Yes. We're also on Facebook. You can go to our page and like us and participate. Give us your thoughts and comments. And if somebody wondered how we come up with the subjects and topics for these podcasts, we actually talk to each other when we're having dinner or when we sit outside and relax and enjoy ourselves.
Or when we go for our walks.
Yeah, we actually communicate with each other face to face. And
even though we work with each other.
Yeah, but we don't really.
Yeah, I know. But people freak out every time we say that we work with each other.
It's so stupid, though, because it's not like we're sitting right next to each other and see each other all day long.
Yeah.
I mean, we choose whatever to have our breaks at the same time. But if we didn't, we'd barely see each other for those 8 hours. So, I don't know. It's no big deal to me. I quite like it.
I don't have a problem with it at all.
But when we're not working and we're at home, like I said, we don't just sit and stare at screens or the TV. We talk to each other, and sometimes we just end up with, we have a lot of random conversations, and every once in a while we go, oh man, that'd be good for the podcast. And then that's what you hear. The following Sunday is one of our random conversations that we thought was interesting enough to hopefully
share with you guys. Yeah.
And please, like I said, feel free to comment, post your thoughts, and if you don't want to be like do it in public, email us at thepodsters@gmail.com.
And let us know if you want to do any shout outs.
Or if you just think we're blank stupid, whatever you think, let us know.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's jump to the bullshit of the week.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Bullshit.
The other night, I was looking up at the stars. I'm such a stargazer, by the way. I love looking at the stars. I don't really follow the constellations all that much either.
No, you're not like an astronomer?
No, whatever. I'm not. I'm nothing like that. It's just, I like to stargaze and look at the pretty stars and the beautiful night sky. Anyhow, I was thinking about the constellation Orion. That is the one constellation I always see. It's like the first thing I can spot. Everybody says, oh, I can see the Big Dipper or the Little Dipper right away. And I'm like, no, I see Orion.
Uh-huh.
And the only reason I find Orion so fast is because of his belt, Orion's belt. But if you've ever noticed that when they give the description of Orion, it's, the 3 stars are his belt, and then there's, the stars, for his hands or whatever, and his feet. And then there's like a little, faint line of dots coming down from his belt.
Yeah, that's Orion's sword.
His
sword of Orion.
But if you really think about it, back when the astronomers, the Greek astronomers, No, astronomers? Yeah, or astrologers. Maybe the astrologers would do it because it's the console. Either or it could be both. I don't know.
Maybe back then they were like the same. They weren't divided yet.
Yeah, anyhow, so they didn't say, oh, look, that's got to be his sword.
What did they say?
I think they said, look, there's his penis.
His penis?
His penis. Hanging down from his belt. and like all these years I've been lied to.
That's one hell of a penis.
All these years I realized I've been lied to by like the textbooks and the Girl Scout instructors. Because I remember we had like I was in Girl Scouts and we had a little.
Maybe that's why they started calling it a sword. I don't think that they would have found
it was
appropriate to call it like, and here's Orion's cock. The dick of Orion.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like they had to cover it up because, you know, they want to teach kids about astronomy. And
so you're saying that Orion's sword is a giant cover-up?
Yes. It's a conspiracy.
His genitals?
Yes. By the textbooks.
You might be onto something there.
I mean, because if you really think about it...
I'm sure that a lot of the astronomers and astrologists back then made fun of it, at least, and be like, yeah, that's his dick.
I mean, come on, all those guys were hanging out in togas and stuff like that, you know? They're not going to be like, oh yeah, that's his sword. No, they're going to be like, that's his dick like right there.
Yep, but you know, I think it's kind of funny how, going completely off topic... But it's funny how a lot of times Second Amendment people here love to rag down on First Amendment when it comes to people having an opposing view of them. So, that being said, a lot of those good old conservatives, they don't want swear words and stuff on TV and radio.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're the ones that invented the whole bleeping things out. You can't say fuck, for instance. So I'm sure there was some prude back then, you know, when they were all drinking all their wine and stuff, and like, oh, look, there's Orion and there's his cock. There was some prude back then who, you know, went and chiseled it in stone, so some protest letter, and being like, no, we can't subject our children to language like that and visions like that. We have to call it a sword.
You must not sexualize everything.
Right. And we can't say that it's Orion's genitals. It's not a penis. It's a sword. I think it was just the PMRC or whatever they were called.
Yeah.
Tipper Gores.
Oh, yeah.
It was some ancient Tipper Gore that did that.
They were the first parental advisories.
Yeah, I think so. But they couldn't put the sticker on there. So they chiseled protest letters in stone and sent it to their Senate. And told them, you have to call it a sword. It can't be a dick.
Let's just do what they say. I'm tired of holding these damn tablets.
Dude, my wife is in that, and she said no punani until I say that it's a sword.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
That's what I think happened.
Yeah. So I'm calling bullshit on the fact that we call Orion's sword his sword, because it should be his penis.
Please write your local congressman and have it changed.
Exactly. Take action. Do something.
Do it now. Just do it.
Speaking of like taking action, there were some marches going on this weekend.
Yes.
I know they had the Cesar Chavez march in San Antonio, and I'm sure they had it in other communities and stuff like that. But I just found it very interesting that they have a march, and they are, I want to say that they've been doing it already for a few years, but it's never been really brought to attention in the media.
But this year it was.
This year it was.
Well, here, I mean, in California, in Southern California, it's always brought to attention. It's a big thing there.
I know it's a really big thing in California, but for some reason it's never really been that big of a thing here. But, you know, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And also they did the marches for the gun laws. The students went to DC to
hence my pun on protest. The whole Second Amendment lovers who then love to infringe on the First Amendment of other people when they don't agree with their lame excuse that it's a Second Amendment.
They just have sorry interpretations of the amendments, I think.
Well, to me it's like this. If you want to If you're pro-gun, be pro-gun all you want, but please come up with a valid point of why we should run around with bazookas and flamethrowers. That's fine if you can come up with something, but you never hear anybody say something intelligent about it. They just regress back. Oh, it's a Second Amendment and it's my right. Mm-hmm. That's all. That's not a good explanation. That's like why kids fail at math.
Yeah, and
I don't understand this. Why is it? Well, that's just how it is.
With the amendments, it's like they need to interpret. They need to interpret. I can't talk. To today's society, like they need to alter it to make it work for today's society. And I know that the reason that they don't do it is because it may somehow lose its integrity if we keep changing it, like from what it initially was, you know?
But here, I was quiet for a second because I looked up the very definition of an amendment.
Yes.
And it says, a minor change in a document. A change or addition to a legal or statutory document. An article added to the U.S. Constitution. That means that, first of all, you can repeal them.
Right.
So, to hide behind that your whole explanation is, oh, that is a Second Amendment. Well, guess what, motherfucker? It can be repealed, and if you don't watch it, it might. I'm not. Let's get that out of the clear too. I'm not necessarily saying that we should be completely anti-guns, because I'm from a country that have very strict gun rules, and yet there are people being killed by guns. Or, I mean, people get killed by people, not guns. But there are people that pull the trigger and shoot other people. Yeah. And a lot of those weapons are there illegally. So what I'm suggesting is do proper background checks. We've been at this one for, I think, in a previous podcast. But I mean, this country tells its citizens that it's so safe and they have complete control and checks on everything. And the truth is, that's not how it is. The states kind of can decide for themselves what information to hand in. And then it's not one database or whatever you want to call it where that information goes to. There's several different ones. So depending on which one you look at, you'll see this and that. It's basic. If you have mental issues, shouldn't be allowed any sort of firearm. Let's not even call it guns. Let's go back to that amendment, way back when the muskets were invented. Let's call them firearms.
Well, yeah, nobody wants to acknowledge mental issues, though.
True.
Because it is so hard. I mean, people with mental issues more than likely don't have jobs because they're not stable citizens and therefore cannot afford insurance that will help them with their mental health.
Healthcare in general in this country is sad.
It is very sad.
But what I'm saying is, if that's how, which is a good definition of it, Do we really need a person like that to own firearms and
No.
ammunition? Do we need criminals convicted of spousal abuse, animal abuse, even drunk driving? Because drunk driving shows that you don't have any
lack
sort
of judgment.
Right. Do we need those people to walk around with guns? I don't think so.
No. I don't think so.
Should we allow hunters, good citizens with no crazy records, should we allow them to own firearms to go hunting, or to collect firearms, or to go to a gun range and shoot for fun? Yeah, for sure. So I'm not anti-gun, if anybody here flipped their lid, but I'm sick and tired of hearing this whole, the Second Amendment. It doesn't mean shit when you say it. When I ask you the question, if you think that everybody should use fucking automatic weapons and carry them around, if I ask you why that is, I want to hear a reasonable explanation. You're terribly afraid of the zombie apocalypse and you need it for your safety. You have a really small penis, so you need to carry it so you feel you have a big one. That's more valid of explanations than, it's in the Constitution. Like I've said before with other issues too, just because something is legal doesn't mean that it's necessarily intelligent.
Right.
So, applaud for all the young Americans that were out there today.
Taking action, saying something, speaking out.
Using their First Amendment rights.
Yes.
So, music lovers, we have an interesting thing.
Oh,
today.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I'm not even sure if this is even a legitimate, I guess, term.
No.
Or
I don't
it's
think
maybe
it is.
just something that we made up.
But, no, I think we might have made it up. But, really, guys, if you're with us this far and stick around, we really want your input on this, because this is interesting. We were talking about musical preferences.
Yes.
And we mean that in a more, not really like what genre of music you like or prefer, or...
Yeah, you said it.
Yeah. I guess not really generalized. We were talking about things like, I prefer major and minor chords, and I like I can't remember in musical terms if it's like 1-5-6 or whatever, but basically basically regardless of genre, like tonally pleasing, I guess you would call it, chord progressions.
Okay.
So I like everything from, like, if you think of Phil Spector and 60s girl group pop stuff, like bubblegum pop.
They were kind of like basic rhythms.
Well, yeah, not so much rhythms even. It's a matter of, like, the chord progressions, how chords follow.
Okay.
So I mean, a lot of them go, what is it, like C, A minor, F, and G. Or I like the like blues progressions, which could be like A, D, and E. Mm-hmm. And it don't matter if I listen to old blues or I listen to the Ramones or Motorhead, because the point of this discussion is, like we said, it's not so much, we like heavy metal or we like rap. It's more about the progression. So all music pretty much I like follow the same sort of progression. And you, on the other hand, you like a lot of, like...
I mean, I have an eclectic taste in music, I guess. And I do like Portishead.
But you like stuff
and
that's... like you
Radiohead. I like Queens of the Stone Age.
Metallica.
I mean, I'm not a big fan, but I do like Metallica.
But you like more, like, dissonant...
Yeah, I would have to say...
progressions.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and you like a lot of the stuff you listen to also have these what I call weird chord or jazz chords, but they're like A sus7 diminished.
Yeah. There's a lot of a lot of the modern stuff that I like has either some jazz kind of fused into their sound as well as some blues, or they mix it up, and I'm like, I love how that's all put together, how it's all composed.
But you like a lot of like the dissonant stuff, the riffy stuff. Whereas I'm like, regardless of how hard and heavy and fast it is, I still want some sort of catchiness to it.
And see, I've never been one to really listen to lyrics. I'm more of like listening to the melody, the rhythm, and stuff like that. And it just not in maybe 10 years ago, I started listening to the lyrics of songs and trying to understand what they mean. Some songs I just cannot figure out, but
yeah, in terms
what I'm trying to say is that, there's, I think, considering where, or what my background is in music kind of explains my taste in music.
That was the interesting thing. We started talking about like where does that preference come from? Because I'm very much for this whole. I mean, there are recipes, so to speak, to write a hit song.
Yeah, and
I'm very much one of those that like the structure of the hit songs. Like I said, regardless of genres, it's like I like that whole progression. Then you can play it super fast and super heavy and scream on top of it, but I still like that, and I like the whole verse, chorus, and a catchy chorus is awesome. Whereas you like the more kind of dissonant, riffy, experimental stuff. Mm-hmm. So the thing we started talking about was, how is that different people catches on to like one of these two categories? And at first you said, it's probably what you're subjected to as a child or whatever.
Well, it's a combination of what you're subjected to and then, your life experiences. Right.
But at first we were all saying that, that's probably how it is, because we just tried to figure it out. And I guess our question to you guys out there, do you think that we as human beings have some sort of musical DNA programmed?
Yeah.
Because when we said that, it made sense. And then we were kind of like, wait, back it up a little bit. Because there are things that we were subjected to in our childhood that, regardless of having been subjected to it so heavily, we still don't like.
Right.
In my case, it is, sorry to say it, guys, but rap and hip hop, I just can't do it. I lose interest. I almost am willing to go as far to say that I dislike it. It's part of why I can't watch all these YouTube shitting cats and stuff, because it's always that yo in the background. I can't do it. Yeah. But I was subjected to it a lot as a kid, because I was a kid around the time hip hop actually almost was invented, at least for mainstream. Mm-hmm. And there's tons of my friends that kind of got on the whole hip hop rap train. And really, that was the coolest thing. And to me, it was just like, no, can't do it. Just no.
Yeah, I could never get into it either. I mean, there's a few rap songs out there. I don't even know the names of them, but if I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah, that kind of, yeah, that reminds me of, back when I was a kid and stuff like that. And that's when everybody was listening to that, but it's nothing like, I got to go buy that album right now.
But I mean, we were subjected to it enough that if the theory of, if you get subjected to things enough, you're going to like it. Or in your case too, it's Tejano music.
Oh yeah. Because that's all my parents were. Well, no, I take that back, because my dad was very influential in my taste of music, but my mom and her family love to listen to Tejano.
Yeah,
and oh my God, for the life of me, like, there are a few Tejano songs out there that I do like, because I do not discriminate against all music, but Tejano, I cannot take for very long before I lose my shit with it.
Right. So even having been subjected to things, the theory that we initially had, it's probably what, you get subjected to as a kid and stuff. It doesn't hold quite true, because there are things that we got subjected to that we didn't like. Right. And also, like I said, in my case, I was very young when I started liking both heavy metal and punk. I mean, I'm talking 6, 7 years old. I think I was 6 when a friend of mine, who was like 2 or 3 years older, which at that point, is very much older, gave me a tape of, it was Kiss and Joan Jett. And I just loved it. And then one of our listeners here, Mr. Bellis, the sheriff, he was my neighbor at that point in time, and he was way older. He was in his late teens or early 20s, and a complete metalhead. And he loved the fact that, this little neighbor kid liked the music. So I guess in a sense, he subjected me to music, as in he had this vast record collection, and I was welcome in. Sometimes we'd sit and listen to stuff, and I got to just borrow records from him and to put them onto tape.
See, you were very fortunate to have that kind of influence.
I was extremely fortunate. But with that being said, once again, I always regressed back to artists or songs that was still built on this whole, like I said, if you so want, like the pop recipe, the catchiness of it. I remember the first time I heard Black Sabbath and the song Black Sabbath, which is one of those dissonant kind of songs. Yeah. It didn't scare me. It didn't make me interested in it. I simply just didn't like it. So where does that come from?
I don't know.
Do we have a musical DNA in us where we just like certain... Well, even if you want to go to beats and stuff like that, I think that's a little bit different, though, because I can enjoy slow music with just a piano or a guitar, and I like double bass, super fast drums too. I don't have a specific I like this beat or I dislike it. But when it comes to the tonal build of music, I have a preference. And even though we like, a lot of the same stuff, but your preference when you just turn on your playlist, it's different. It's different sounding than mine. And it is that whole, you're not as quote unquote pop or whatever you want to call it as me. And like I said, I don't listen to pop music, really. I mean, I listen to predominantly punk and heavy metal. Yeah. But it's still got to have that Ramones, the Clash, or Motorhead, the catchiness of it. Whereas that's not a requirement for you. You like a lot of the experimental dissonant stuff. So where, guys, does that preference come from? Because obviously it's not necessarily from being subjected to things. Well,
I mean, it does make a difference when you're subjected to being formally trained in music. For 6 years I played the clarinet. Yes, I was a BQ in middle school and high school, but the only reason I was in band in high school is so I didn't have to take PE. Anyhow, and then I did symphonic band, throughout my 4 years of high school as well. And what I'm trying to say is that...
But did your taste in music from before you did that? Obviously, you were much younger, but still, did your tastes change? Like the more band and symphonic stuff and all that you
Oh, yes,
did?
Definitely. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's really cool how it influences and I would have never thought that classical music would influence how I listen to my music now.
No, but I think to practice music of any kind gives you a certain ear for music. Yeah. That other people...
And the fact that I played the clarinet and stuff like that, that's why I have such a hard time with with understanding the whole concept of guitar music. Like how the whole 80% chords
of it
and
really
things,
is chords, yeah,
chords,
rhythm.
and I had always wanted to play the piano, but my parents never gave me piano lessons. Anyhow, so my musical, I guess, talent was based off of the melody. And that's because when I learned how to kind of like play, my parents knew that I wanted a piano or whatever, but they ended up giving me a little Casio keyboard that had the little lights that lit up, and that was like the key that you were supposed to hit that goes with the song, whatever, And I was just learning to play melody on that little Casio keyboard. And then when I started playing the clarinet, a lot of clarinet music is in classical music, it's melodic. So I think that's why I have more of an ear for listening to the melodies and stuff like that of music rather than listening to the lyrics.
Yeah,
I don't know, that's how my ear works.
Yeah, no, but I mean I'm totally with you in the fact that practicing music changes how you listen to music,
right?
Because
you practice. You learn to play the guitar, and you understand how chords work and stuff like that. But if I were to try to teach you how to play like the clarinet, you'd be a little bit lost.
Probably, because I can't just do melody. But
then
again, I guess you have more breaks. I'd get restless when you're not supposed to play. Well, coming from playing the guitar where you actually don't get a break.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but I was thinking more in terms of what you listen to and how you listen. I think that's part of I've always played rock music. And I think that's honestly why I have a hard time with electronic music. Because even though you can come up with how many beats per minute, yada yada yada, a song is, a drummer is a human being. It's not precise. We can trick it in a song to think that everything is precise. But if you actually do a metronome, there are little variations that when you do things electronically aren't there. So I think that's one of the things I listen to, how organic things are, because I'm used to that. But yeah, guys, let us know. Do you think that we have some sort of inherent musical DNA in us?
Or what is your music DNA?
Yeah. You musicians out there, let us know. Are you a pop nerd, or are you a dissonant, dismembered demon?
Really?
That's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed our podcast.
Our little nerd out with
Let us know.
music and stuff. But I love nerding out with you guys and stirring shit up.
It's fun. We love you all.
All right. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.